Hello and welcome. In this video, we will visit a place dedicated to a world-famous car maker. Yes, as you guessed correctly, it's the Mercedes. And today, we will introduce to you this Mercedes-Benz Museum where one can see the beginning, the development until the present day. Standing in the hall, let's introduce the museum. It was opened on the 19th of May 2006 and was designed by the UN studio. At the side of it, both from outside and from inside, it resembles the double helix DNA or a few three-leaf clovers. It reminds the cameraman of a heap of bent weight plates. The exhibition concept is interconnected with architecture. The visitor goes up in the elevator and goes down in a spiral between individual epochs where legendary vehicles of the period are introduced. On the mezzanine floors there are situated theme exhibitions. There are 7 epochs and 5 theme exhibitions. The whole collection is not conceived as the history of Mercedes-Benz, but as the whole history of motoring. There is an immense amount of information boards which provide a deeper view of period context with the emphasis on the development of cars and mainly the Mercedes. If you are a real fan both of Mercedes and of cars, you will spend a whole day here. We will start at the beginning. At the invention of the automobile. On the 29th of January 1886, Carl Benz filed a patent of his invention in Mannheim, a 3-wheeled vehicle driven by a petrol engine. It had 1 cylinder with 0.954 liters and 0.75 horsepower. The top speed was 16 km per hour. Gottlieb Daimler completed his carriage with an engine in Cannstatt in the same year. It had 1 cylinder as well, but with 0.462 liters and 1.1 horsepower. The top speed was 18 km per hour. They were the first 2 cars in the world. Here we can see replicas. It was possible thanks to the invention of a powerful petrol engine, which was the work of Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach in 1883. It was a 1-cylinder engine, so-called grandfather clock, with 0.462 liters and 1.1 horsepower. Both Benz and Daimler had a different attitude. While Benz concentrated on the development and production of cars, Daimler was using his engines in diversified range of vehicles with the goal to motorize travel on land, on water and in the air. It is symbolized by the 3 tips of the star, which is the symbol of Mercedes. Carl Benz was born on the 25th of November 1844 in Karlsruhe in the family of an engine driver. He died in Ladenburg on the 4th of April 1929. Gottlieb Daimler was born on the 17th of March 1834 in Schorndorf in the family of a baker. He died in Cannstatt on the 6th of March 1900. Wilhelm Maybach was born on the 9th of February 1846 in Heilbronn in the family of a cabinet maker. He died in Cannstatt on the 29th of December 1929. The German name of the fuel, benzene, does not come from the name Benz, but from benzoin, a tree resin from the Far East, which is the source of benzene. We should mention the overall context. In the 19th century, for the first time in history, a global economy with internationally accepted rules developed. The automobile industry had thus at its first steps advantageous conditions. This is the Daimler Reitwagen, in English riding vehicle, from 1885. It had one cylinder, displacement 0.264 liters and output half of a horsepower. It was a test vehicle and this is a replica. It was not only the first petrol-engined vehicle but also the first motorcycle. Here we can see the Daimler motorized handcar from 1887 with the grandfather clock engine. This is the Daimler motor quadricycle from 1889. It has a V2 with 0.565 liters and 1.5 horsepower. There are lots of other exhibits from the beginning of motoring, and in the foreground a cleaning lady. We will have a look at an archaic bus and we will go on. It is the Benz omnibus with 8 seats from 1895. It has one cylinder with 2.7 liters and 5 horsepowers. Again, it is a replica. We are going over to the second level, thus from the beginning towards the birth of the brand Mercedes. It is the period from 1900 till 1914. The businessman Emil Jelinek, who was selling cars from Daimler, asked for a car which would be faster than any other car. The chief engineer of Daimler, Wilhelm Maybach, developed a completely new vehicle, the first modern car. Jelinek named it Mercedes after his daughter, Mercedes Adrienne Manuela Ramona Jelinek. After a long line of victories, a legend was born, the brand Mercedes. And now we will have a more thorough look at the car from 1906. With its novel conception, it distinguished itself from all other cars. It was based mainly on the light and powerful engine, the effective honeycomb radiator, and the low center of gravity and the long wheelbase. It had 4 cylinders with 5.3 liters and 35 horsepowers. In the museum, one can try the driver's feelings behind the wheel of this car. Here we can see the Mercedes Simplex 40 PS from 1902. It has a 4-cylinder with 6.8 liters and 40 horsepower. It is the oldest Mercedes still in existence. This is the Benz 18 PS Doppelphaeton from 1905. It has a 4-cylinder with 3.2 liters and 18 horsepower. Next to it, there is the Mercedes 75 PS Doppelphaeton from 1908. It has a 6-cylinder engine with 10 liters and 75 horsepower. In this period, the majority of cars still started by a hand-turned crank. Some more powerful models had already an electric starter since 1912, but the hand crank remained a standard tool until the 50s. On the third level, we will get acquainted with the times of changes. From 1914 to 1945, the First World War was the first highly mechanized war, and fighting sides depended on the domestic industry. Both Benz and Daimler adapted their production to the war needs and produced mainly trucks and aircraft engines. The Daimler was the first manufacturer which tested superchargers in aircraft engines, technology which was later used in cars. After the war, both companies started to cooperate and later they merged, and this way in 1926 the new company Daimler-Benz came into existence. This period brought the use of diesel engines. In 1923, Benz introduced the first agricultural vehicle with the diesel engine in the world. Now we can see both engines closely. This is the Mercedes-Benz diesel motor OM59 from 1932 with 4 cylinders, 3.8 liters and 55 horsepower. Rudolf Diesel created this engine in 1892. In cars, it was employed after the development of the pre-chamber process. And here we can see the Mercedes compressor motor M836 from 1924. It has 6 cylinders, 3.9 liters, power output without the supercharger 70 horsepower and with the supercharger 100 horsepower. With the Nazis gaining power, the situation of the German automobile industry changed. Cars were important for the Nazi propaganda and carmakers enjoyed swift growth. With the coming war, the production was subordinated to the war goals. The more men went to the front line, the more dependent the factories were on the labor of women, forced laborers, and concentration camp internees. Here we can see the lightweight aircraft Daimler L20 from 1928. It has 2 cylinders, 0.9 liters and 20 horsepower. This is an aircraft engine Mercedes-Benz DB603 from 1944. It is a V12 with 44.5 liters and 1,800 horsepower. The first car from this period, which we will look at, is the Mercedes-Benz 27 170 225 PS type SSK. It has a supercharged 6-cylinder with 7.1 liters and 225 horsepower. SSK means Super Sport Short. Moving on, there is the Mercedes-Benz Type SS from 1930. It has a supercharged 6-cylinder engine with 7.9 liters and 200 horsepower. SS means Super Sport. This particular car was for the Maharaja of Kashmir. The last car of this era is the Mercedes-Benz 500K Special Roadster with 8 supercharged cylinders, 5 liters and 160 horsepower. And we are going on to the epoch of the German post-war miracle from 1945 to 1960. Germany recovered from the military defeat and set out towards the economic domination. On one of the information boards, they stuffed a reminder of the German refugees from Eastern and Central Europe. Perhaps they think that it moves someone when the Germans pose themselves as victims. They remind us of the beginnings of the present form of the European integration as well. What else can one expect from them? In the 50s, the Mercedes cars introduced themselves with new shapes. Let's get acquainted with them. We will start with the Mercedes-Benz 300 from 1952. It has a 6-cylinder with 3 liters and 115 horsepower. Here is one from 1954 as the S Cabriolet A with 150 horsepower. This is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR from 1955. It has an 8-cylinder with 3 liters and 302 horsepower. And the famous Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Coupe from 1955. It has 6 cylinders with 3 liters and 215 horsepower. And we will have a look at the Roadster Mercedes-Benz 300 SL from 1962 with the same engine. Here we can see the space frame from the model 300 SL from 1954. The high sidebars did not leave enough space for normal doors, and so a car with gull wings came to life. On the 5th level, the Mercedes introduced themselves as visionaries, particularly in the field of safety and environment in the period from 1960 to 1985. Among the innovations which started to be introduced into cars on a mass scale belongs the anti-lock brake system, airbags, compulsory use of seatbelts, and the reduction of fuel consumption. New elements were tested in crash tests. The dawn of Germany, as country of Germans and immigrants, falls into this period as well. The blooming German industry was short of labor force, and therefore the German labor market was opened to guest workers. A substantial part of them stayed. For completion of the context, one information table is devoted to the end of the Prague Spring. This is the Mercedes-Benz 220S from 1964. It has 6 cylinders, 2.2 liters and 110 horsepower. It was the first production car with energy-absorbing crumple zones. Here is the model 230 SL from the same year with a 6-cylinder engine, 2.3 liters and 150 horsepower. It was nicknamed Pagoda because of the removable hardtop. And in closing, the model 300 SD from 1980. It has 5 cylinders, 3 liters and 121 horsepower. It was the first diesel among luxury cars. And it was the first turbo diesel in a production car as well. And now a new start comes. The period from 1982 until today. It is mainly a journey towards the reduction of emissions. In this era, the Mercedes widened the range of products and invested in technological companies. This is the test car Mercedes-Benz Auto 2000 from 1981. 3 engines were tested in it: a V8 with the cylinder cut-out system, a V6 turbo diesel, and a gas turbine drive. Here is the concept IAA from 2015. It has a combustion and electric engine. IAA means Intelligent Aerodynamic Automobile, which changes its shape according to the speed. Now we will look at the latest results of research. This is the 4-cylinder diesel engine OM654 from 2016 with 1.9 liters and 195 horsepower. It is marvelously economical and polar bear friendly. Here is the 9G-tronic hybrid automatic transmission from 2016. It weighs 95 kilograms. The power output of the electro engine is 88 horsepower. The torque converter, clutch and electric engine are in one drive unit. A lithium-ion battery from hybrids which contains over 35 cells. This is a compact electric engine E-cell with an increased power output of 95 horsepower. A fuel cell. The cameraman refused to film it any longer and even namely specified where the Mercedes should stick the electromobiles. We are getting to the last level, which is named Silver Arrows and is devoted to the rich history of racing cars made by Mercedes, which were called Silver Arrows because of unpainted aluminium bodyworks. In this showcase, there is a collection of successes of Mercedes in the touring car championships. This is the streamlined racing car Mercedes W196R from 1955. It has 8 cylinders, 2.5 liters and 290 horsepower. Here, with the skirt up, and McLaren Mercedes Formula 1 MP4-13 from 1998. It has a V10 with 3 liters and 780 horsepower. Mika Häkkinen won the World Championship in it. With the skirt up, there is the MP4-14 from 1999. with 810 horsepower. We will have a look at this diesel engine OM501 LAR for a racing truck from 2001. It is a V6 with 2 turbochargers, 12 liters and 1496 horsepower. In the gallery of Voyagers, we will look at this Mercedes-Benz 320 from 1939. It has a 6-cylinder engine with 3.4 liters and 78 horsepower and a streamlined body. This is the Mercedes-Benz LO1112 from 1969. It has 6 cylinders, 5 liters and 120 horsepower. And, in closing, the Mercedes-Benz 300 TD from 1985. It has 5 cylinders with 3 liters and 88 horsepower. This model changed the image of estate cars as vehicles for business use. Lorries and trucks are not in the center of our interests, so we will just have a look at this transporter Mercedes-Benz Rennwagen Schnelltransporter from 1955. It has 6 cylinders with 3 liters and 192 horsepower. It was used for transport of racing cars. This is a replica. This is a collection of utility vehicles which was named the Gallery of Helpers. Well, we are not interested in the henchmen at all, so we will have a look just at this firefighting truck. It is the Mercedes-Benz LF 3500 from 1952 with 6 cylinders, 4.6 liters and 90 horsepower. Now we are in the gallery of celebrities. Here they boast that Mercedes cars have always been the epitome of elegance and prestige, which they support with the fact that many celebrities use them. Somehow it did not dazzle us. Today, children, I will take you to the school. Your new driver, Mr. Schubert, Mr. Bus Driver. The last theme gallery is the room for special exhibitions. During the time of our visit, there was an exhibition devoted to the Model G. They used a pun as a name for it. Geschichten is the German for history. The story of the Model G is depicted here from the first tests in 1971 until the present day. Here is an illustration of its 2 faces, into the mud and into the city. This vehicle has a V8 with 5.5 liters and 544 horsepower. This is the 230G as the Papamobile for the Pope. We went to the adjacent shop in order to see the present-day models. The cameraman proclaimed that he will not film cars without a soul and went away. I sat in some of them. With the view of this G with 6 wheels, which was displayed in front of the museum, we say goodbye. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.